Hello, everyone, and well, welcome to the Matchbook Horse Racing Christmas Special. We do it once a year, quite rightly, and we're going to look ahead to two fantastic days of racing. Obviously, with the way decks are shaping up, we are recording this on the 23rd, so we know what is lining up, thank you to the Irish, across Saturday and Sunday. The British didn't quite cop on to that, so they're back to 24-hour decks for the Sunday, which means races like the Welsh National, the Wayward Lad, the Desert Orchid. We don't know official fields, so we're treading carefully when it comes to, in particular, the Welsh National. There might be a bet or two going up in it, but it's not an official race we are previewing. But we've got lots of Grade 1 action to get stuck into. 7 races across Boxing Day or St. Stephen's Day, depending on where you are watching from, and a couple of Grade 1s on Sunday as well. We'll have a handicap section for you as well before the usual best bets. Delighted to say I'm joined by Adele Mulrennan, by Donn McClean, by Steve Jones, and we're going to get stuck into the action very shortly. Now, I want to tell you about the offer, which still stands with Matchbook. It is our regular current offer. It is the Bet 10 Get 10 offer. And that is where you just need to bet £10 or more at odds of 2.0, which is even money or bigger, and you will get 10 when that original bet settles. 18 plus, importantly, and please gamble responsibly. That is the regular Bet 10 offer from Matchbook. High time we got stuck into the action. I feel I should say Merry Christmas to everyone, for it feels a little bit different this year. Adele, thank you for bringing a bit of Christmas sparkle to proceedings. It's better than my decorations.
It looks great, doesn't it? You got to have a bit of festivity, haven't you, this time of year, given what's going on in the world at the moment?
Don, are you a Christmas lover, or are you a Scrooge deep down?
No, massive Christmas fan, Tom. We have 4 girls. I was going to say small girls. They're getting bigger though, so no, it's great in our house. Yeah, love it.
And Jonesy, there's no Christmas decorations in the loft. Still, the race badges are there, but there's no tinsel up there, sadly.
No, still the Ascot paddock badges. Yeah, no, it's quite festive around here. We're in tier 2, so it's not illegal at the moment. I know up in tier 4, up with you. You can't have your Santa outside on your chimney pot.
No, there's not much you can do, but it means that I can get stuck into the racing, and I feel watch as much sport as I like without getting my ear chewed off. So that's got to be a good thing, because there's no relatives to go and see. So there you go, Boxing Day in front of the sofa. Right, let's get stuck into the previews. I say we're going to go in race meeting order rather than time order. So we'll start with Kempton, the 3 Grade 1s there. We'll then move on to the Grade 1 novice at Leopardstown, and then the Matchbook Betting Exchange Grade 1 novice, now named after Forheen this year, at Limerick, before getting stuck into Sunday. So first of the novice races we're going to be previewing, first of the Grade 1s, is the Courto Star Novices Chase. It is Kempton at 150. And let me give you some prices first of all. Shamblu, who was so impressive last time, round about the 3.0 mark. The big breakaway is 3/4 of a point bigger, 3.75. If the Cap Fits, 5.0, and Rillo 7.5, Kaluki 12.0, one for the team 13, and Golan Fortune is the outsider at 34.0. You might get bigger on the day, were you to fancy Golan Fortune, who's won on this card before. Adele Mulrennan, kick us on. I know it seems strange to say this, but I think between this and the Christmas hurdle, certainly, I'm more looking forward to this race. It's got that open feel to it, and I like trying to find the star novice of this division.
I'm still looking forward to the big breakaway. I know he was a bit disappointing last time out. I thought they might put a little bit of headgear on him, because he's like a big baby. You see him when he's in front, his ears are kind of pricking. They're looking one way, looking the other way. Clearly, he's still got plenty to offer. But the one that's kind of most impressed me this season would be Shamblu, obviously, with me being at Wetherby on both his wins. But I know last time out it wasn't a big field, but he won by 16 lengths. He was really impressive. And what I like most about him is that he seems to have that turn of foot as well. So he's got a bit of speed. He stays 3 miles. So I just think he's been well placed by the Skeltons as well, and he's ready for this step up in grade.
I'll come straight back to you on that, because he's also my selection for the race, Shamblu. I looked at the 2 runs at Wetherby, and I thought, a couple of spins around Wetherby, and this is a really deep race. He's officially rated 152 coming into it. And I suppose I tend to start with most races trying to take the top one on, just because I'm always looking for a bit of value. But I was so impressed with what he did last time, particularly in the latter part of the race. He settled in behind well as well, and I think they'll look to get a lead off something going for this contest. I don't think the ground will be too bad, which is a positive. And the Skeltons, I think, might just take another step forward this year. First Grade 1 winner over fences with All Mankind at Sandown, and I think they might just have another one here. What's your opinion, Adele, on two spins at Wetherby before coming into this Grade 1 contest at Kempton, obviously going the other way around? Is there any concern there for you at all?
No, I think he's just been well placed by Dan, and Wetherby takes some doing. It's although it's a big galloping track, it still takes a lot of doing to win by that larger margin. And based on what he's seen, it's clearly worth ready to step up. So I wouldn't be too fazed by the fact that he's just won at Wetherby last twice. Like I said, I think Dan's placed him well.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think 3.0 is fair enough. Is anyone brave enough to actually side with the big breakaway? Damn, I was really hoping somebody would put their neck on the line. What did we make of last time? Because he had such a profile coming into this year, Don. I mean, they went back in trip. I thought he had his pocket picked by a really good ride on the winner bowl plan, but I was still disappointed.
Yeah, look, it was disappointing for all that, as you say, Tom. It was probably a trip short of his best, and Bold Plan is a good horse. I mean, he might have been a wee bit underrated going into the race, whereas the big breakaway, I just think he's a very fashionable horse. He has been for a long time, and I just thought he was a bit underpriced the last day, and his run at Cheltenham, his win at Cheltenham, while he looked good, it probably wasn't that strong a race. Doc Penfro has been beaten after the horse who finished second, has been beaten since. So I kind of want to see the big breakaway doing it really now at this level. I wouldn't be surprised if he won, but I still think that he's a horse who's, I don't think he should be as close to Shan Bleu in the betting as he is, Tom. Shan Bleu, what impressed me most the last day at Wetherby was his jumping. His jumping was superb. And yeah, look, he's going the different way around, but it's a flat track. Wetherby's a flat track. And to jump as well as he did, that's key at Kempton, especially in this race. Novices over 3 miles. It's key to get into a good jumping rhythm. And we don't know that he will at Kempton. The fences probably come at you a wee bit more quickly than they do at Wetherby, but his jumping the last day was very good. If the cap fits, he's the highest rated horse in the race, and he was a bit disappointing at Sandown the last day as well, after starting off really well at Fosslas and beating Fiddler in the Roof. So he has to go and do it again. And Kaluki, again, he was very impressive at Newbury the first time, and then didn't run badly behind Next Destination and won for the team of reopposes last day. And he's a horse who could step forward again. He's just on his first run at Newbury, he looked very good that day. But yeah, I think I can't find a betting angle really, Tom. There are plenty of unknowns, and like you, I'm really looking forward to the race. But I think Shan Bleu is the right favourite, and if he jumps as well as he did at Wetherby, he'll probably take a lot of beating. That
is exactly what we want. If you're not going to have a play in the race, then that's fine. Sit it out, and there may be a few of those with these Grade 1s because they're pretty tight little heats that we're previewing for you before we give you our handicap bets. Steve Jones, what do you fancy in the race and why?
I fancy Enrillo. I was really impressed with him last time at Exeter. I know that was a step up in trip from his hurdling days, and I think he's thrived for it. And I thought his jumping was superb at Exeter. He is a little bit keen sometimes. He wanted to get on with it at Exeter, which is obviously a lot stiffer track than Kempton. And I think this horse has got, for a 3 miler, I think he's got a lot of speed. You can knock the form if you want, because the second horse, Darlac, was a professional loser. But then again, he's come out since and won a handicap, albeit off 127. So I thought the way he brushed those sort of horses aside, I thought it was only a length and 3/4 that he beat Darlac, but he could have won a lot more easier. And I don't think Exeter really was his track. I think Kempton will be his track. I think this horse has got a lot of speed. He's taken really well to fences. I think the ground's not going to be too bad at Kempton. I think that'll help. And like Adele was saying, I think Shan Bleu was very impressive last time and perhaps was in front too soon. But there's a lot of pace on in this race. Golan Fortune and Kaluki, I think, will both try and go from the front. So it should set it up for a proper race. And I think Enrillo is the one. I think he's got a lot of class. Because of his profile, he's not got the official rating that some of the others, like If the Cap Fits, who's I think jumping's going to have to improve. But I think Enrillo is one of those horses with the potential. I don't ever take much notice of official ratings in races for young, inexperienced horses like this. So I'm really comfortable. And I was quite surprised, actually, there wasn't a lot shorter. I think he was around the 6-7 mark. I think that's a great bet, personally. Of the 3 grade 1s at Kempton on Boxing Day, I think Enrello's the best bet.
He's 7.5, Jonesy. And just to tag on the end of what you were saying there, I remember I was at Sandown when he won that day and beat House Island, and Paul Nicholls came back into the winner's enclosure with that, that sort of bullish look on his face. He was like, it was all wrong last time. It's all wrong. He was right this time. He's a really good horse. But I was sort of taken by the fact that he felt the horse had been really underestimated. He was very nearly the horse I put up, but I went and watched Chamblou last time. Was so impressed with him. Would you be playing Enrillo, Jonesy with 7 runners in the place market as well, or just a win bet?
No, I just think there's probably not the value with the 7 runners for the place, and I honestly think he'll win. I think he's way overpriced at that. I respect Chamblou, not so much the big breakaway. Like Don says, I think it's been massively hyped up, and I don't think the track would suit him. But I just think Enrillo, he's a 6-year-old going forward. It's really, really like this horse.
Good stuff. And if anyone's interested, Mihal Disi's been on saying that he really fancies one for the team. But he's not officially on the podcast, so ignore that. Dispel everything I've just said. But he does like him at a fair old price. So a couple of shouts for Chamblou, 3.0, 7.5 for Jonesy for Enrillo. Let's move on to one of the least competitive races of the afternoon, and it is the Christmas Hurdle. Look, I suppose I think the first thing to say is there is going to be a without the favourite market. So if you would look to get stuck into the market without Epatante, you might want to go for Silver Streak, for example. Can I come to Silver Streak first of all with you, Jonesy? Because do you think the ground is going to be okay for this horse to be seen to his best? Because actually last time it probably wasn't okay. I know you're a big fan of the horse, but he ran really well on ground that was probably a little bit too testing for him.
Yeah, the ground was right for him at Newcastle, but unfortunately, not so sleepy took him out. The second, I think. So that's
leave it, Jonesy. Leave it. It's done. It's happened.
That must have infuriated Evan Williams, because he does like good ground. I don't think it's going to be too bad. I was reading this morning that they said the forecast is going to make it good to soft in places. Well, the forecast I've seen isn't quite that bad, and I think it'd just be on the soft side, and that's fine for Silver Streak. He's coped with it well enough in the past and a lot deeper, and he's just a fantastically consistent horse. He always seems to turn up. He seems to have been around for ages, but he's only 7. And I was just looking at him this morning. He was bought for 25 grand by Evan Williams, and he'd run I think 6 or 8 times for Anne Duffield on the flat. He's by Dark Angel, who obviously we associate more with sprint bred flat horses, but he does get staying horses as well, and he's just progressed fantastically. It must be a fantastic buy, and I just really like him. He was agonisingly touched off by Song for Someone in the International at Cheltenham, when again you say that the ground wasn't ideal for him, but he's got a great record at Kempton. I was trying to look for a bet with maybe Ballyandy, who was just behind him in the International at Cheltenham, because he'll go from the front, but then again Nicky Henderson's got the mare in there, Floresso, who goes from the front. So I really couldn't see anything past Epatante winning, Silver Streak being second, to be honest. But
so just on that, Jonesy. So 1.4 Epatante currently, Silver Streak 5.5, 11.0 Ballyandy, 17.0 Floresso and Diego de Charmel, big outsider, 34.0 would be bigger on the day, you would imagine. At those prices, it sounds like you might not be able to find an angle. Silver Streak's going to be a short favourite in the without market, but would he still tempt you? Because personally, I cannot see those other 3 horses beating Silver Streak without Epatante in the race. I just don't see it. I don't see how it happens with Silver Streak at what I think is his favourite track, unless it comes up actually soft. I can't see it happening.
No, and even if it was soft, he would probably be able to cope with it round there. And look, if he was something crazy in the without market, then maybe. But I'm not really an odds-on player, and I leave that to you boys up in Tier 4.
Odds on Tier 4. Adele, what about you at those prices? 1.4, 5.5, Ballyandy 11.0. Anything of interest, or you're sitting and admiring?
Well, I'll be putting her in my place pot anyway. I mean, she's the one they've clearly got to beat. She was so impressive up at Newcastle. She gets the mare's allowance as well. I'm just going to stick with her. Silver Streak would be the one that I would pull in to finish second. He always runs his race. He always, like Jones was saying, he turns up, does his job. So unfortunate up at Newcastle. So at first and second.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement there. Don, is Epatante bomb-proof at 1.4, or can you find an angle to take her on?
No, I don't think so, Tom. Look, it'll be the same 1, 2, 3 as last year, won't it? With Silver Streak chasing her home and then Ballyandy in third. I fully agree with Steve on Silver Streak. I think he's continually an underrated horse, and ironically, an unlucky defeat the last day behind Song for Someone might be the reason why he finally starts to get the credit that he's due, because then, like, he was a handicapper, and then wasn't it last season, at the start of last season, Evan Williams said we're going to train, or maybe the season before, we're going to train him like a good horse this year, as opposed to as a handicapper the year before. But he was so unlucky the last day. If the final hurdle hadn't been taken out, you can't say he definitely would have won, but he would have gone closer than he did, and he was beating the nose. So he was unlucky that day. And I actually think he's coping with soft ground better than he did. He was always pigeonholed as a good ground horse, but he's got good form on soft ground now, including the last day. Like that run was up there with his very good runs. So I just think he's a super horse. He's unlucky that Epatante's in the race as well. He's favourite to finish second to her. That's probably the way it's going to go. It's hard to see him beating her, especially given her as Adele says, the £7 allowance. So you can see him running a big race and finishing a gallant and an admirable second with Ballyandy probably back in third again.
There has been a surprise in this race. Bouvardere a couple of years ago was beaten by a stable companion at the same price that Epatante is now. But either side of that, you've had the horse at the head of the betting. All right, two have been Forheen, then Yamworth. Remember when Yamworth could win over hurdles over the minimum?
Before he started jumping banks.
Yeah, exactly. And Epatante last year, who went off at 3.0. But I mean, traditionally, it's been a hard race to get the favourite beat, although there was a surprise a couple of years ago. I feel like we're all singing from a similar hint sheet here, and it may not be the most interesting of angles, but we can't see a way that Epatante gets beaten if Silver Streak is floating around with odds against in the without market. I think that would certainly be of interest. Does anybody have anything to add to the Christmas hurdle?
Only that if there was a market on whether the jockey of the winner would be happier than Nico de Boinville's face when he came back in on Verdana Blue, having beaten Bouvardere, I'd be all over it.
It was great, wasn't it? Up the running, he was like, "Oh, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Oh, I'm going to win. Yay!" It was great watch. Agreed. But there you go. Let's kick on to the King George, the feature, which is I think we say it every year, it's a fascinating renewal, but I think it is this year because Surname has had such a different preparation this year. The market looks like this currently. The two Paul Nicholls horses are very difficult to split, but Clanderzobo is heading it slightly, 2.88 for the King George, Surname 3.0, the supplemented Santini. Nicky, like, I run my horses, see? I don't just not run them. I'm running them now. 7.5, Lost in Translation 8.0, and then into the bigger prices, Real Steel 17.0, 26.0 waiting patiently, same price, Frodon, St Calvados 2, and Black Hop outsider of the lot, 67.0 currently. Let's come to Don if we can. Such a shame, of course, that there's no Irish challenger in the form of Monolly. We know the reasons why. Which side of the Paul Nicholls camp are you in, or are you looking elsewhere?
Both. I have a side of the Paul Nicholls camp. I think Clanderzobo is. I know it's been different this year, and Clanderzobo had the hard race, whereas Surname had the easy race. But I just think this discipline, 3 miles, Pall Mall at Kempton, it's a specialist discipline. We have repeat King George winners and repeat King George run wellers every single year. And I think Clanderzobo should be favoured. He's kind of favoured, and it's probably not much between them, is there, between him and Surname for favouritism. But I thought Surname, like before Weatherby the last day, he was kind of his stamina for 3 miles was not proven, and I still think it's not proven. They didn't go a great pace. Vindication kicked the first 5 fences out of the ground, so I still think Surname has to prove it, whereas Clanderzobo, for all that he had a hard race against Bristol de May, in the Betfair Chase last time. He's a Kempton horse. He's won it for the last 2 years. He comes alive at Kempton. He's been trained for the race by Paul Nicholls. For all that, surname has probably been trained for the race this year as well. And I just think he's the horse that he's the title holder in a race that fosters repeat winners. So yeah, I think he should be clear favourite. And for all that, Santini is a little bit of an addition that we hadn't really budgeted for, and Monolly is a subtraction that we hadn't budgeted for. I think Real Steel is the overpriced horse in the race. I thought he might run well in the race last year when he was with Willie Mullins, but he didn't go in the race. He got beaten in the John Durkin Chase beforehand, so he didn't go for the race. But he ran some race in the Gold Cup. Like he was held up in behind in a race that wasn't run at a fast pace. He made ground down the hill very easily, and then actually turning for home, he looked the most likely winner, but he didn't get home, and he'd probably done a lot of running to get up into the front rank into a pace that was picking up. So I thought that was a hell of a run. Now, his run the last day at Ascot wasn't great, but he was very weak in the market that day. And I just think he'll come on for that. And even after the race, Paul Nicholls, his trainer now, had no hesitation saying he's still going for the King George. He's probably a better horse, for all that he had that big run in the Gold Cup. He's probably a better horse going right-handed, and 3 miles at a sharp track. He's very good over 2.5, but we saw in the Gold Cup that he got to the 2 furlong pole no problem. So I think 3 miles on a flat track going right-handed at a sharp track, that should suit him well. And it's a big ask to see him beating both Clandes Obo and Surname, as well as Santini and Lost in Translation, but I think he's the overpriced horse in the race.
I think if last year somebody had told you that Real Steel would be lining up for Paul Nicholls and ridden by Daryl Jacob, somebody would have gone, no, I don't think you got that wrong. But it's happening. Don, would you rather back Real Steel at 17.0 or Clan at 2.88, or would you happily have them both on side, or do you think one is a better bet than the other?
I think Real Steel is a better bet, actually. I've backed him. I haven't backed Clandes Obo, but I still might depend. Like I think that there might be a swell of opinion for Surname, and that Clandes Obo might drift. And if that happens, then I'll back Clandes Obo as well. Yeah.
Interesting, because there was a lot of talk last year as to what horse was going to go off at the head of the betting, and then Surname was just absolutely hammered before the off and really well supported, and that was between he and Lost in Translation more, but he was really well supported. Question that just to open it up from what Don was talking about the trip at Kempton. Steve, can not thorough stayers win a King George?
Oh, good question. I've been with non-stayers a few times in this race, Politolog being one of them. I think in any Grade 1 race which is truly run, you need to stay 3 miles, even though if it's just an easy 3 miles. It's like back in the day when people used to say, I can't remember which horse it was, but they used to say, 2.5 milers do well in the Grand National. And I think, can't remember which horse it would have been. It was one of Fred Reimer's, I think. And they just, for 40 years, they kept on saying it. And never did. So I think you do need to stay. I think with Surname, he certainly didn't want to go any further at Wetherby. I thought he just about got away with it there. Around Kempton, I think he probably will again. I think this is ideal for him. And I think the key with it, with Clandes Obo and him last year, obviously Clan just blew him away on the run-in. I think last year, Clandes Obo had a much better preparation than Surname, in the fact that he went to Down Royal for that race, which I think was on Surname's agenda, ironically, this year. But this year, Clandes Obo took on Bristol de May at Haydock in the Betfair Chase in very heavy ground and had a really hard race, I thought. He ran very well, but he did have a hard race. And Surname, last year, I think Paul Nicholls was desperate to send Surname to Ascot to take on Altior at his absolute best. He wanted to beat Altior, and he did. But I think 33 days later, he turned up at the King George, and I don't think that was a help to Surname last year. This time, he's had 56 days going to Kempton on the back of Wetherby and the Charlie Hall. That's a much better preparation. I thought he was awesome in the Charlie Hall. I thought he jumped beautifully. He went round fine. They said he couldn't go left-handed. Well, he was fine that day. And going back right-handed is only a positive. So I think he's got a lot going for him. But it's interesting that Don has put up the Paul Nicholls 3rd string, because I like the Paul Nicholls 4th string in the place market, Frodon. And I can't understand it, how Frodon, who is admittedly a horse I really, really love, I think he's everything that is good about national hunt racing. He gets on the front end and he jumps fantastically and he jumps rapidly. And he's got form around Kempton. I think 3 miles around Kempton is probably going to be ideal. He's going to be on the front end, and it'll be a strong one to get past him because he keeps trying. And for all that, the others might have a bit of class in his own stable. I think he'll keep going, and he could easily hit the frame at a nice price. And don't worry about his run at Aintree in the many clouds, because they took all the fences out in the straight, and that's not him at all. They did it once before. I think it was in the old Roan chase at Aintree. And so every time he goes to Aintree, they take all the fences out. He must think that the Grand National is easy because they only jump a couple of 3 when he goes up there. But no, I'd say Surname and Frodon in the place market.
Would you back Frodon in the win market as well?
I knew you were going to ask that, but probably not.
Okay.
Probably not. And then he'd probably either win or come last.
I remember when I put up and back Cornerstone Lad in the place market only for the Fighting Fit. What a great day that was.
You win, but you feel like you've lost.
Oh, God, I was furious. Exactly. Adele, I think this is such a fascinating race with regards to Surname. So did Surname prove that he's an out-and-out stayer at Wetherby?
For me, yeah. And then obviously everyone was saying he couldn't go left-handed, which then he put all them questions to bed. I found it difficult to choose between the two of them because I like both of them, but I have purely gone on the basis of, like Jonesy, the fact that Surname hasn't had the harder race. That was tough at Haydock. You know, when it's testing conditions like that there, it is very, very tough. So I'm just going to go on the basis that he's probably the one that hasn't had the harder race and probably the better prep coming into it. But at the bigger prices, waiting patiently, it would be hard for him to win this on his first start back. And I think he would be the only other 9-year-old to win the race would be KO Star and Q Card. So it's a big ask for him to win it. But at the prices for an each way bet, obviously we haven't seen him since he was 3rd. Before, but I just think if you were going to have something for any way, he would be one to pick. He likes a strong pace. He will be looking to pick up the pieces at the very end. And Ruth Jefferson, I was talking to her not that long ago. She's really pleased with him. He's jumping well. He's done plenty of work at home. So just for an each way bet, for place bet, I would be looking at him for a place.
For a place bet on waiting patiently and Surname Surname still for you of the ones towards the top of the betting.
Yeah, to win.
I'm singing from that exact hymn sheet. I think Surname is a better horse than Clanders Oboe. Simple as that. And he has answered the questions that he needed to answer. He does go, well, he proved he went left-handed, but he did prove he stayed last time because he switched off. And the old Surname with a race with the likes of Frodon in here, for all they're both trained by the same trainer, it would be a worry. But I think he'll switch off. He's still going to be better going this way around. And having taken him on for the last year and a half, much to my detriment, I think this is the best staying chaser in training, as his market suggests, certainly this side of the Irish Sea. And I think he'll prove that. So Surname for me, who isn't favourite currently 3.0, but waiting patiently. I love him just as a place bet again, and I would just back him in the place market. 26.0, obviously in the win market, but backing him in the place market. He loves to go fresh. There was a really interesting on Nick Luck's daily podcast. He had an interview with Ruth Jefferson, and she talked about how he's a fragile horse. He definitely best fresh. They started off in the Tingle Creek last year. He ran an absolute blinder, keeping on, proving that he wanted further. But they're coming straight back for this. I think he was about 5.0 for this race a few years ago when, through no fault of his own, was brought down. And they're just having another go over the trip now. Maybe he doesn't stay the trip, but we don't know. And I think it's worth playing to find out. I think on class and on talent, he's well worth a place bet. And I'm not worried that he's fragile. We haven't seen him because the reports are he's very happy at home. And this is the time to catch him where he's very much best fresh. So
It's a good job he's best fresh because he's never anything else, is he?
He isn't, is he? You can't be anything else.
It's so hard when you've got a fragile horse, though. Everything's kind of got to go right. But like Ruth's saying, she's really pleased with him, and I hope he runs well. Just hope he stays in one piece more than anything.
The litany of injuries he's had. They found, I think, a chipped bone after the Tingle Creek last year when he'd run such a good race. Before that, I can't remember what it was. Was it anyway? Basically, he's like the Darren Anderton of horse racing. But I think he's a very good horse on his day. So there we go. Anyone want to add anything to what's going to be our longest race preview, the King George VI Chase?
Interesting, nobody's mentioned Santini for all that he's high profile now, having been supplemented to the race.
Nicky will be furious, won't he? He's actually running a horse, and now nobody's mentioned him. Go on, Dom. Give your thoughts on Santini.
At Kempton, I'm just not a fan. I just don't think it suits him. And I know Nicky Henderson says that it's different this year, but I just think he's no more than Sandown when he was wholly unimpressive in winning on his debut last season. He's a galloper. Cheltenham, even Aintree would suit him better. I just think Kempton. It all happens too quickly unless the ground got very, very soft. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I look, famous last words. He'll probably go and win by 12 lengths now, but I just don't think it's his track.
Anybody think that Santini's been rerouted here because of Champ? And there's, as Nicky said, there's no races for Champ. Poor old Champ. There's just no staying races for Champ. I can't think of any. Like the Cotswold Chase, which Santini ran in last year, but now Santini's running here. Will we see Champ, who's obviously had a bit of a delay? I wonder if that's half the reason that Santini's running here. Because
I think there's a lot in it. And Nicky Henderson mentioned Champ was perhaps going to have a run over hurdles. Well, the way he jumps fences, I don't think that's a bad idea at all.
Champ's going to go and win the Gold Cup now, isn't he?
Absolutely no chance.
No, good.
No.
I think Santini is the right horse for Cheltenham over 3-2, but not Kempton 3 miles, as Don says. He's going to find himself spun around. And Aintree, he looked very rusty. I think he's a hard horse to get fit. I think he doesn't. It's not easy to get him fit at home, and I thought he'd take a big step forward from Aintree, but I think he might even take another step forward again. I think the more racing this horse has, the better, I think, in views of his Cheltenham Gold Cup chance.
Yeah,
Don, did you want to add something?
Well, it's a strange one, isn't it? Because, look, we may be proven wrong, but Kempton just doesn't seem to play to his strengths. So even if the plan is to run Champ and the Cotswold Chase, and Champ has missed his, as you say, Tom, it's a pity the Irish horses can't go to Britain and the British horses can't come here. But Champ he wasn't coming anyway. Like the Savills Chase was his race, but he was ruled out last week because he just wasn't getting there. And of course, the Cotswold Chase looks like the right race for him now. But even if that is the right race for Champ, if it's the right race for Santini, surely he should go there instead of going to the King George.
I thought that when I read that, I couldn't work it out. If they were going to run Champ over hurdles, surely then the race at Newbury, the Denman race, would be far better for Champ. It would fit in easier with the Gold Cup. And Santini could go to Cheltenham for the Cotswold Chase. So I didn't quite understand the thinking there.
Yeah. It only took us 33 minutes to start previewing the Gold Cup. It's not bad. Not bad. Right,
we do the Gold Cup now then. We do it now.
Yeah, we do the Gold Cup now. Let's move on to the Irish racing then. So we've got the Racing Post Novice Chase, which comes 20 minutes before the match, but Limerick Novice Chase. Last year we were treated to 2 brilliant novice chases, in particular the Limerick one. As things stand at the moment, we've got a field of 6 lining up for the Leopardstown Racing Post Novice Chase. Felix Deji is 2.63, Darva Star 5.0, Black Bow half point bigger 5.5, Franco de Port 7.5, and Bittered, remember, was Declan Rix's dark horse to follow on the preview. He's trying to cut it against the big boys here. 15.0, Ben Rubin 34.0. That field of 6. I said I would come to you, Don, first on this contest. Felix Deji looks a slightly more tractable horse now, doesn't he? Yeah, no, he was very good the last day, and that's in the Craddockstown, the old what used to be called the Craddockstown Chase at Punchestown. And Jack Kennedy, I thought, was brilliant on him because Sizing Potsy went on and went clear around the home turn, and he didn't panic. He just allowed his horse continue in his rhythm, and then he picked him up.
And that form has been enhanced fairly spectacularly since by sizing Potsy, who was pretty devastating in winning next time. So, yeah, exactly as you say, Tom. He's more tractable than he used to be. He used to be a tearaway. He'd just get off in front, and that was the only way he knew. He's different now. He seems to be able to settle better. Maybe fences and maturity, probably a combination of both, are helping him. And that was a very good run. He jumped to his left as well that day at Punchestown. So going left again at Leopardstown should suit him. Darver Star reopposes. He's the champion hurdle third from last year. So he's a big opponent. And he was disappointing that day at Punchestown, but Gavin Cromwell said afterwards that the ground it was very, very heavy. And Leopardstown's ground, while there is plenty of rain around, and now it's gone towards the soft side now. They were actually talking about watering last week, which is crazy in the middle of December. But they've got it's rain now last night. I'm about 20 minutes from the course, so plenty of rain here, and it'll be soft ground, or at least easy ground, but it probably won't be as soft as it was at Punchestown that day. So Darver Star could bounce back, but I'd still think Felix Desjy will beat him. I think he can progress again. He's a year younger than Darver Star, and going left-handed should help him. I think Black Bow is the other interesting one here. He was obviously a very highly regarded bumper and hurdles horse. He probably didn't quite fulfill expectations or reach his potential as a hurdler. But last time at Navan on his debut over fences, he was very, very good. His jumping was superb, and he beat Antuka very easily. So he's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how the jockey bookings go there between him and Franco Deporte, Willie Mullen's other horse. But I think Black Bow will probably go a fair bit higher now over fences than he did over hurdles, and he's always been a horse with a high reputation. So he's very interesting. I think he could be the one to give Felix Desjy most to do.
I'm tipping up Felix Desjy, and I like the way he raced last time. I agree. This way, I think will suit him even better. The old Felix Desjy, I'd have worried with Black Bow in there, Don, just because they both like to crack on with it. But I just think there's a chance Felix Desjy is just a touch underestimated. There was a sense last year that he nicked it a little bit. But I think he's a class act. And I thought 2.63 was fair enough for him. Is Felix your sort of official selection, Don, if you like?
Yeah, like he's short, Tom. I won't be backing him at even money or thereabouts. But yeah, I think he's the most likely winner. But I think Black Bow is probably more interesting because he might be a wee bit underrated.
Sort of, a good 3 points bigger, if you like, would interest you that little bit more.
Yeah.
Adele, a bet for you in this 6-runner race?
Be Felix Desjy. I know, like, he's a bit of a hero, but horses like him, like, he will have been schooled over fences even while he was hurdling, because it just kind of gives them something to look at and something to respect. And I think he's really clever, this horse. You can see he's really starting to learn how the fences are really putting manners on him, and that's what you want to see. You want to see now he's starting to really think about things. I thought Punchestown, he looks like there's still plenty more to come from him. He's starting to settle now, which is what you want to see over the big fences. So I'm going to stick with Felix Desjy.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because he missed a lot of time. It was the year before that he won the Grade 1 at Aintree, and then they brought him back in the summer. Went off favourite at Galway, didn't he? And then and now I think chasing's been the making of him. So 2 fair shouts for Felix Desjy there. Jonesy, yourself?
Yeah, I can't disagree. I think Felix Desjy was super impressive last time at Punchestown when Sizing Potsy almost slipped the field as they came up the bank on the side of the track, and he took some catching. But like Don said, Jack Kennedy gave him a really good ride. And again, going left-handed, I think it suited him. That was perhaps his problem, that gave a little bit of ground away at Punchestown, but he's a very good jumper. It's just the fact that going left-handed will just help him that little bit more. And I think Black Bow's interesting. Again, I agree with Don. You almost want to side with him because he's bucking the trend. We've seen so many Irish point-to-pointers being bought into Britain at huge cost. Well, he's gone the other way. He was sold by Tom Lacey after winning a point-to-point in Britain, and he's gone over to Ireland. So you kind of want to side with him being a British person, but he was very impressive at Navan. I like the way he jumped. And although he failed to win over hurdles, that's not going to be a problem going over fences now. But I just think Felix Desjy's got the required class to be a real force at this sort of trip in the top novice chases this season. So I can't go against Felix Desjy, but probably end up a bit short for me.
Okay, possibly a little bit short. Currently warm enough towards the top of that betting, around about the 2.63 mark, and Blackbow given a good mention by Don and Steve there, 5.5. Let's move on to the Matchbook Betting Exchange Forheen Novices Chase, named in honour of that performance last year, where I mean it was outrageous that Forheen did it. He nearly did it at Cheltenham as well, but it was absolutely magic. Adele, come to you first on this. You got another warm Willie Mullins hot pot in the form of Asterion Falange, 1.83, Pencil Full of Lead, 5.5, Colreevy, 6.0, Janadil, 6.5, and Assembler's Outsider at the bunch at 14.0.
I'm going to go Janadil. I know he made great strides over hurdles, but I think as far as chase debuts are concerned, I think he couldn't have done much better than what he did, really. And I think he looked like he was clearly enjoying himself. He jumped well, and like I said, I think there's still plenty more to come from him. So I'm going to go Janadil at the prices. What did you say he was?
He's a fair bit bigger than the rest. He's 6.5 currently, so a little bit of value there. I mean, I take it with the 5 runners you're playing, Win Market, Janadil at 6.5.
Yeah, and I think he's a great price at that.
He's a horse who I wondered what they were doing with, half given the colours that he carries and where he might be aimed as a sort of handicap hurdler. He then lined up in the Albert Bartlett last year, but that was pretty impressive, I thought, last time. Interesting, he's coming back in chip. I suppose if it is testing ground, Adele, it's going to suit him, isn't it? Yeah,
and he's got plenty of zip as well to go with it. I mean, he jumped the last couple of fences quite smartly, so he jumps well. He's got enough pace for the race as well, so I think he's clearly ready to step up into this kind of company.
I suppose the thing is, Don, that Willie Mullins is well represented in there, and quite often when you've got a warm Willie Mullins, you've got a Willie Mullins favourite in there, they're almost sort of by design, the stable companions who aren't considered to be as good are going to just go off at bigger prices because the market is headed by the Willie Mullins hot pot in this instance, Asterion Falange.
Yeah, exactly. I think he entered most of his novice chasers in this race, but it's good. It's a hell of a race now for a Matchbook sponsorship. And it has been for the last few years. It's a Grade 1 race now, so brilliant. Look, you always kind of knew Asterion Falange was going to come here because he probably has to go right-handed. I know maybe it wasn't as pronounced the last day as jumping to his right, but that was at a right-handed track at Punchestown, and he was good. So I think he'll be kept going right-handed for as long as he can until maybe he has to go to his left. So yeah, look, he was always going to come here. And yeah, look, as Adele says, Janadil was good the last day, and the form of that race is working. He jumped well as well, apart from I think the last fence or the second last fence, but the form is working out really well. Espinito Bello, Barry Connell's horse, who finished 4th behind him that day. He came out and won a really hot beginner's chase next time at Naas. So Janadil is interesting, and he's a horse that Ruby always kind of gave him a mention last year. You always kind of thought that Ruby Walsh thought a fair bit of him. Colreevy, another Willie Mullins horse, the mare, like she was a really good bumper mare, and but she's a real big strapping mare. She's built for fences, and she was very good the last day in winning a rated novice chase at Punchestown. She jumped really well, so you can see her coming on. I think a Pencil Full of Lead might be the underrated horse again in amongst all the Willie Mullins horses. He probably wasn't as good over hurdles as some of his rivals, but his chase form, I just think he's underrated. He won a beginner's chase at Galway that has been won by really good horses in the past. John Cossack won it, Lass and Stone won it, Lyrian Legend won it, I think something else won it. Anyway, China Rock maybe won it going back. So it's a very good race. He beat Cocoa Beach that day and he stayed on well. And then the last day, he went to the Grade 2 race at Punchestown, the Florida Pearl Chase, and he beat Latest Exhibition. And kind of afterwards, the talk was how Latest Exhibition was disappointing. And I suppose on the face of it was disappointing, but that was very heavy ground. And Paul Nolan said afterwards that, again, the ground was probably even softer than ideal for him. But Pencil Full of Lead beat him well. And the 3rd and 4th, Brace Yourself and Court Made, they came out and finished 2nd and 1st respectively in the Porterstown Chase, a really competitive handicap chase out of novice companies. So the form was working out well, and Pencil Full of Lead did it well. And that was over 2 miles 6, back down to over 2.5 at Limerick. Should be fine for him. I think he's probably a staying chaser in the making, but 2.5 at this stage of the season is it's a good trip for him, especially on winter ground that they're going to have. So yeah, I just think Pencil Full of Lead he just could be the one to put it up to a steering for lunge. If steering for lunge, runs his race, and he's obviously the one to beat going right-handed again. But Pensacola Lead could be the one to shake him up, I think.
Don, just give us an idea of Limerick for anyone that isn't so au fait with this. I don't want to say lesser Irish track, but a track that doesn't hold so many Grade 1 contests. Is it? I mean, there's some undulations there. Is it? How stiff a track is it?
It's not that stiff, Tom. It's flat enough, and there's a bit of a downhill run then into the home straight. It's right-handed, very fair track though. It's a relatively new track, but very fair, and a good galloping track. I think they've 4 fences up the back straight and then turn and 2 in the straight. But they do usually have quite testing ground at this time of the year.
Yeah, and that looks like it's going to be the case again on Saturday. Just check if what the official going is. Oh, yes. It's heavy officially, so it's likely to stay there. Jonesy, what about you? A bet in this or no?
Yeah, I agree with Adele. I think Janadil was a really impressive winner last time, and I don't think he really wanted to be in the lead. He kept jumping into the lead, and Mark Walsh had to keep taking him back, and he was just far too good at Nace. And I thought he handled soft ground very well. I think he might have just gone under the radar a little bit because he came, rather than going the novice route last season, he went through handicaps and then ran in the Albert Bartlett, which was clearly too far for him at Cheltenham at that stage. I think this trip on testing ground is going to be ideal. And I wanted to take on Astrion Forlonge. We've all seen how he jumped out to his right and caused all the havoc in the Supreme at Cheltenham. And he again switched to fences last time, although he won well. He was again jumping out to the right. And I know, like Don says, that the track at Limerick is fair and right-handed, but you'd rather have a horse that jumped straight rather than jump right-handed, even though they're going that way. So I think coming up in grade, it's one that's still not a positive, the fact that he does jump that way. And I think Janadil, the way he won last time was really impressive. And the mistake he made at the last was I think what infuriates me most about jockeys, he was jumping beautifully on a nice long stride the whole way round. He's got the race sewn up, and it's shorted into the last, and the horse thinks, God, what's happening here? And he got right into the bottom of it and made a bit of a mistake. So I wouldn't worry about that whatsoever. And I think he's way overpriced in what is a really intriguing race. And it's so good that it's this competitive for a race, a Grade 1. I know Matchbook sponsor it, and it's the more competitive of the two. But there's a 2 mile 1 Grade 1 novice chase at Leopardstown, and there's a 2 mile 3 and a bit Grade 1 at Limerick, and they're both really well competitive races. If it was in Britain, I don't think there would be the depth to support those 2 races on the same day. So it just shows the depth there is in the young chasers in Ireland, and that's probably why they're dominating. But I must say, it's gone very dark here. I'm thinking about changing all my selections for Kempton, even though I'm about 100 miles away.
That's tier 3 coming in, Jonesy. Yeah, that's what it is. Look out.
All your tiers have finally fallen on the Cotswolds.
Yeah, well, I think nobody's left in tier 4. They've all left. Anyway, let's not get political. I don't have a bet in the race. I was hoping Asterion Forlonge would open up a sort of silly price, or would get to a silly price after Dex, and we'd be looking at a sort of 2s on shot, and I'd lay in. I can't really argue with the prices. I think he's the most talented, but I was concerned with the jumping. It's a sit and watch for me. That's Saturday done. Let's kick on to the Sunday Grade 1 action. We've still got 2 Grade 1s to preview for you, then the best handicap bets, then the best bets of the Christmas period, or the first 2 days after Christmas. This is 2 mile and a furlong Grade 1 chase, won by some brilliant horses in the past, and also we've seen some brilliant horses beaten in the past. Chacun Pour Soi, unsurprisingly, is a warm order 1.44 towards the top of the betting. Put the Kettle on and Notebook now lining up. Henry de Bromhead didn't have much choice because he's got to run on both in Ireland. 5.5 Notebook, 7.0 Put the Kettle on, Animix 26, Castlegrove's Paddy 26, and Le Richebourg 41.0. You probably price on that up on that on the day potentially as well. I'll kick us off if we can. Why not? I'll start off just. Do you know, I'm inclined at that sort of price just to have a half speculative lay of Chacun Pour Soi, who last year was the horse that I was so keen on for the champion chase. It didn't happen because of his fragility, which was a great shame. But I just have in the back of my head the amount of times that I've been at Kempton on this day, on the 27th, watching Willie Mullins' horses on the big screen getting turned over by Simply Ned. And then Aplutar beat Chacun Pour Soir in this race last year. Now, the difference, of course, is Chacun's had a race this year. He subsequently went on one at the Dublin Racing Festival. He's no question the best horse in this, but Notebook's a proper horse, and you know the Cheltenham factor with Notebook is huge. I think that twice now at the festival he's blown his lid down at the start. One thing that will help him this year, actually, if there aren't any crowds in at Cheltenham, God forbid, but I think that will massively help him. That's something to really pay attention to with the horse. Don, no crowds at Leopardstown. On this is that right? There's nobody there at all.
Yeah, nobody there at all. Yeah, it'll be weird again.
But I think that's great for a horse like Notebook. I'm a huge fan of Put the Kettle On. I think she's somewhat underestimated coming in here, but I just think Chacun, given how Willie Mullins, I know it's a Grade 1 contest, but he's had 3 shorties beaten in this in the last 3 years. I just think you could do worse than just have a little lay of Chacun Pour Soir. Yes, he's the best horse in this race, but history tells us it doesn't always work out on this day for him. And I think, you know, you've got some smart second season chasers in here. So that would be the way I'd approach it. Small stakes, have a bit of fun and hitting the red button with Chacun Pour Soir personally. Adele, what about you?
Oh, I'd be following you with small stakes. It wouldn't be a race I would really be looking to have a bet in, especially not a big one. I'll kick myself if I don't have a little bit on Put the Kettle On. Absolutely love her, but I would be staying with the favourite. I think that he's the one that they've all to beat, given the fact that he ran so well at Cork. Obviously, giving weight away to everything that day, stamped his authority soon enough in the race, and I think he's the one that they clearly got to beat. But I wouldn't be going mad in this race. It'd be one I just like to watch.
Yeah, fair enough. But maybe a small go at Put the Kettle On, just because
Yeah, I love her. She's fantastic. Yeah, and she's so tough.
Oh, she's been fantastic the last 3 starts at Cheltenham. Obviously, she's trying a different track now. Jonesy, any play in this race?
No, I think Chacun Pour Soir will win. I was hoping that people might get swept away with Put the Kettle On, because I don't know why I've not warmed her, but I don't think the form's all that great. I definitely just saw not running well last time, opened the door for her there. And the Arkle, I don't think a lot of the British horses wanted the ground quite soft. And I thought Notebook would be second, but the market says that. So I've got nothing more to add, really, other than Chacun Pour Soir from Notebook. I'm seeing
a trend here. He gets stuck into Lorena. He gets stuck into Roxana.
Sexist.
He got stuck into Roxana. Now he's getting stuck into Put the Kettle On. It's the mares, isn't it, Jonesy?
Sexist, isn't it?
Just disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. Don?
Yeah, look, I was all set to back Notebook in this race, and then Put the Kettle On has put a bit of a spanner in the works, so I might have to back both of them. Like Adele, I like Put the Kettle On. I don't think she got the credit she deserved for winning the Arkle. She was very good in winning it. She had Rouge Reach well behind, and she wouldn't have liked the ground either. Like she's a good ground mare, really, and she probably hated the ground the last time at Cheltenham for the Schlur Chase, and she still won it. I mean, she wasn't impressive in winning it, but it was interesting listening to Aidan Coleman afterwards that he just said that he was concentrating on keeping her in the race and not letting him get too far away, not thinking that he could win it. And I just thought, excuse me, she showed a lot of guts that day to get up and beat Duke de Genève. I think the ground is going to be it'll be soft again at Leopardstown, but probably won't be as bad as it was at Cheltenham that day. So that gives her a chance. And it's not ideal that she's been rerouted, or she was on track for the Desert Orchid Chase, where she would have faced Altior. She's coming here instead, which is great for the race and great for the depth of racing at Leopardstown. But it just, for me, it creates a little bit of an anomaly from a betting perspective, because, as you say, Tom, Notebook was so good here last year in both those races. For all, and you know, he beat Fakir Duderi's, giving him the £7 age allowance. So that was a fantastic race, and then to come back and beat Catchback at the Dublin Racing Festival. So he's a real, look, he's a really good 2-miler, and it was great to see him after he disappointed at Cheltenham in March. It was great to see him get back at Naas last time in the Popular Square Chase. So and he was very good that day. We know that he goes very, very well at Leopardstown, so he's got loads in his favour. And the fact that Rachel Blackmore is riding him is a positive. She doesn't ride Put the Kettle On that often. She hasn't actually ridden her since July last year, so 18 months ago. So maybe there was no decision to be made. She was always going to write Notebook, maybe. And Sean Flanagan's a very, very good rider. He takes over and Put the Kettle On. So I think the two Henry de Bromhead horses could put it up to Chacun Pour Soi.
But instead of laying Chacun, you'll have a bit on Put the Kettle On over Notebook.
Yeah, I might back both of them, Tom. Depending on the prices.
Fine.
Yeah, I might end up backing both. But I think they probably should be closer to him in the betting than they are, both of them.
Yeah, go with that. The next contest on Saturday, the last of the grade ones we're going to be previewing, is the Future Champions Novice Hurdle. We were having a bit of a chat about this just as Dex had come through, and I wasn't sure exactly how the market was going to price it up. Jonesy, who would you have as favourite for this race?
I was a little bit surprised when Don was saying what he thought that the top horse there, Appreciate It, would be favourite, because I thought Adam. Going to say Ballyandy then. I was still stuck on Kempton.
Maybe favourite.
But yes, well, yeah. Ballyadam I thought is done everything right so far, and although it hasn't been to the big festivals and the bumpers last year, I think his novice hurdles performances have been super impressive. And I know the comparisons there to Envoy Allen because of the same colours, the same trainer, and that's a little bit unfortunate, but while he might not be in that grade quite yet, I thought the Royal Bond win at Fairyhouse was really good, and I think he's just a really nice horse. I think will complete the hat trick.
They're both trading at around 2.88. So if you think Ballyadam should be clear favourite, then he'd be very much your selection, I take it.
Yeah, I really like him, and I think that the fact that he is that sort of price surprises me a little bit. So yeah, even though it's still a relatively short price for me, I think he's the one to be on.
Adele?
Ballyadam for me. I know that's a little bit of inexperience going into the Royal Bomb, which you see he made a little mistake throughout, but he will have learned a lot from that, and he hasn't done a lot wrong at all. He's definitely going in the right direction for me, so I'm going to stick with Ballyadam. I think at that price, because I thought it would be favourite when I seen the race, but for that price, Ballyadam for me.
It's fascinating. I think part of the fact that Appreciate It was the champion bumper horse for last year, although he then got beaten by a stable companion, is still built into that price. But then Ballyadam with these colours, the Envoy Allen factor that he's trying to follow that route, I think is interesting as well. Although of course Abracadabra's won this last year. Don, come to you next.
Yeah, look, it's fascinating, Tom, isn't it? Like even the market's fascinating. Like Ballyadam's probably a more fashionable horse than Appreciated, so maybe the money will come for him. But Appreciated, we saw last year the regard in which he was held and how impressive he was in all his bumpers. And then he's just come up against an informed Fernie Hollow, who unfortunately looks like he's out for the season now, which is a real shame. I think Ngolo will get closer to Ballyadam than he did in the Royal Bond. He didn't have the run of the race at all. They didn't go a fast pace. Ballyadam quickened off it. And Ngolo, Paul Townend had to take him back a little bit before he could go forward. Like he went from second or third to fifth going to the second last flight, and he made a mistake at the second last flight, which didn't help, and he stayed on well. Like I know he's a horse he's got lots of experience, so he probably doesn't have the same potential to improve from that run as Ballyadam has, but I just think again he's an underrated horse, and he's often been an underrated horse. He shapes like a horse who probably isn't overly impressive at home, because he seems to do better on the racetrack than expectations. So I think he'll get a faster pace in this race than he did at Fairyhouse, and he'll be a Willie Mullins number 2. So I assume Paul Townend's going to ride Appreciate It. And just as you were saying earlier on, Tom, in the context of us steering for Longe, a Willie Mullins number 2 just might be a little bit lower in the market even than he should be as the second string. So I think Ngolo is an interesting horse. I think he could outrun pretty big odds. I think he's a big enough price now at the minute, isn't he? Oh
yeah. Let me give you those. He's you got 2.88 top of the market, 7.5 for Kescon Risk, 10.0 for Fire Attack, 12.0 for the Devil's Coachman, and then into the 15.0 for Ngolo. So you might want to play in the win and place market, Dom.
Yeah, no, he did. Look, it's a bit, look, Fire Attack was very good the last day against Fakir, and Kescon Risk, he did really well to get up and win last time at Ferriers. For all that, this is a big step up in grade. He's an exciting horse as well. He was well back that day, so it's another like fascinating race. But yeah, I think Angola might be the overpriced horse.
Yeah, I'm going to back Kescon Risk in the win and place market. I think he's a pretty safe play at that. I can't. My head's fried trying to work out the top two and who should be favourite, and I can't come down with a firm answer. I was really impressed with Kescon Risk. Henrietta tonight obviously paid a lot of money for him on behalf of the owner, and I like the way he battled on that day. And sometimes I quite like seeing a horse have to battle and have to win before stepping up in grade, as opposed to winning on the bridle. We know he'll battle. I think he should take a fair old step forward for that as well. And I thought 7.5 win and place market was fair enough. I think he's good enough to serve it up to them. I really like that performance. So Kescon Risk for me. Anything to add before we get stuck into the easy ones, the handicaps? Happy? All right. So this could be anything. Could be anything over the Christmas period, wherever you like. You can go up to the Wolves if you want. Adele.
No, I'm not going.
Not going there. Where are you taking us for your Christmas handicap bet or bets, please?
There's too many hard luck stories at Wolverhampton for my liking. I'm going to go to Wetherby. The 128, there's a horse called John Beebe who won at Wetherby the time before, and they went up £6 for that. So I'm going to go with him. I presume he might be one of the likely favourites on the day, so I'm not quite sure what price we'll get for him. But he's back there for another Class 3 handicap, so I think he's well worth a little bet.
John Beebe for you. Yeah, I got no market as it stands at the moment. John Beebe for you at Wetherby. Any others? Sticking with that one? You don't have to.
Canelo in the Royal Limerick of Alan Kings, who was second in the Sir Peter O'Sullivan. I think you'll probably get some nice prices for the Royal Limerick because they're kind of usually it's usually a tough race. It's a hard race to win, of course, and that shows usually betting wise. We don't usually get a really short price favourite. So Canelo, and then I quite like.
Let me give you a price. Let me give you a price if I can. Canelo is 7.0 for the Royal Limerick.
And he's also named after one of my favourite boxers. And then Chucker's Lodge, I thought maybe for the Welsh National, who won the Midlands National and then was unseated in the Edinburgh Gin Chase when going quite well. So, and I think he actually was opened up at a big price, and I think he's kind of halved.
He's one of mine. Yeah, he has been well supported.
I think he keeps shorting up all the time. And the last time I checked, maybe he was around about 10.0. So he might be still one of the prices.
Yeah, I'll get an update for you because he's one of mine as well. Adele's a mad boxing fan, if anyone wasn't sure of this. And has boxed in the past.
Today to watch Callum Smith and Canelo, yeah.
Love it. So 3 there, 128 John Beebe. Haven't got a price as yet for that. The 205 at Wetherby, the following race, Canelo, who's 7.0, and Trucker's Lodge. I'll confirm a price for you for the Welsh National because I'm joining you with that one. Steve Jones, your Christmas handicap bet or bets.
I am joining Adele at Wetherby, and I'm going to put to bed the rumour that you started about 10 minutes ago, because I absolutely love this horse, Snow Leopardess, who's a mare trained by Charlie Longsdon, and she is fantastic. She's taken to fences really well. She was second to Shanblue, albeit beaten quite a long way at Wetherby, but she jumped beautifully that day, so the track's not going to be a problem. And then she really saw the trip out well and handled the ground well at Haydock when just coming with a late run to beat Commodore. I think this race, the Roller Merrick, although it's 3 miles and it was 3 mile 1 at Haydock, I think there's a lot of non-stayers in there, the likes of Spirit of the Games. It's got stamina to prove, Springtown Lake, and Beau Bay, who won over the Grand National fences last time. And that's one thing that Snow Leopardess will do, is stay. She'll get on the front end and she'll just keep jumping and galloping. And she is a great bet, in my opinion. Round 6, something like that.
I think you can have bigger.
Oh, it's Christmas, isn't it? We're getting everything.
I think you can have a little bit bigger. Wait, stand by. I think I saw 8.0. Let me get there. Yeah. You happy with that?
Oh, over the moon. She'll go off.
He's delighted.
4.5, something like that.
Okay.
She is a great bet.
So a good trading option potentially there as well. Snow Leopardess. Just the one, Steve?
Oh, and on Sunday,
Yeah.
Chepstow, Welsh National Day, the 2.5 mile chase beforehand. We were with him rather last time, ASO in the Beecher chase. This is much more his thing. It's come right down in the weights, foul in the Beecher chase, just over pitched rather than whacked one. And if you consider this time last year was third in the Charlie Hall, was even ran in the King George this time last year. It's come right down in the weights. Real chance now. Got top weight with less horses. Has won at Chepstow, and I think this is a nice price as well. So ASO for me in the 105 at Chepstow. What are we looking there? About 9-10?
Yeah, 10.0. And do you know, I followed you in last time on ASO, and we didn't get a run for our money, and I like him.
I knew at the back of my mind he wouldn't stay, but I just couldn't get him out of it. And I think he was a bit unlucky. He took a little bit of effort to jump the national fences, and then his front legs just gave way and he came down. And this is much more his thing. He's well handicapped and likes soft ground, like many of Venetia Williams' horses does. So keen on him.
Don McClean. That's it, isn't it, Steve?
Yeah.
Don?
Yeah, like on the Welsh National, I almost backed Secret Reprieve at 10-1 after he won the trial. Didn't. Watched him go 8, 7, 6, and now he's a 7-2 shot. I'm still looking for one to beat him. And look, he's there for all to see. He got £12 for winning that. He's got a £4 penalty, so he's £8 well in. He's got course form, which, as we know, is crucial at Chepstow. So he goes on soft ground. He's a progressive horse as well. He's only 6. It's very hard to see past him. And I was considering Trucker's Lodge, but he's a stone higher than he was last year. So I'll have another go. I haven't got one to beat Secret Reprieve yet, but I'll have another go at some point, I'm sure. I might end up backing him, actually. But I think in the Paddy Parrott chase at Leopardstown, discordantly is very interesting of Jessica Harrington's. He's another progressive handicap chaser. He did really well to win at Galway. It was a kind of a funny race that day. In his penultimate run, the leader went off in front and he sat in third, but he kept on well. Chevy Artis kind of closed on him a bit, but it never really looked like Chevy Artis was going to get him, for all that Chevy Artis made a mistake at, I think, the third last or the fourth last. But Chevy Artis has enhanced the form since. And then last time, he got £10 for that discordantly. He ran in the Troytown chase last time, and he only finished fourth in the end, but he ran a massive race. He was up handy from early in a race in which, remember, the Jam Man came from, I think Jam Man was last jumping the first fence, and he came and won it. And then Roaring Bird and Skirmar, all who filled the places in front of discordantly, they all raced in rear. He did best by far of the horses who raced handily. And he made a mistake at the second last fence as well. So he probably can be marked up a fair bit on the bare form of that run. And the handicapper left him on his mark for that. So he's 142, which is fine. Paddy Kennedy is riding brilliantly these days. He takes the ride. And yeah, I just think the back to 3 miles at Leopardstown probably won't put the same premium on stamina as 3 miles on heavy ground at Navan for the Troytown chase does. So that should suit him, and he can race a wee bit more handily as well at Leopardstown, which should be fine. So yeah, I think he's got plenty in his favour, and he's a young horse as well. He's only 6, who's got potential for more. So I think at whatever he is, he's about 17, I'd say, or 18 or 19. So yeah, I think he's interesting. And like the Paddy Parrott chase, it's very difficult, but I think he could run well in it.
Can you just confirm the race time for me, Don?
The race time is...
What? Are we on Saturday or Sunday?
No, on Sunday. The 2:55 on Sunday, yeah. The Paddy Parrott chase. 2:55
on Sunday, gotcha. I'll just try and give you updates a bit. Discordantly's a horse. I remember Kate Harrington was working with us at the Cheltenham Festival when I think he was going to run in the Martin Pipe, and this was their horse. And I think he was taken out of it anyway. But yeah, he's clearly done well since switched to the division. He's got those crazy colours as well. Yeah, you can price up, get 21.0 at the moment.
Who wore those colours? Quiz question.
Oh, so risky.
They're called crazy quilt colours, I think they're called.
Yeah, and do you know what? I think originally they were Bud Flanagan's, the comedian from the 60s.
Oh, you're way ahead of me there, Steve.
Adele, feel free to yawn or whatever. Look at the two of them. God, on the screen, memory lane.
Remember when we were young?
Oh.
Yeah.
It's a long time ago.
Discordantly for Don then on the Sunday in the Paddy Parrott chase, the 2:55. I've got 3 for you. I'll be quick. Truckers Lodge, I agree with. 12.0, I think, is a very fair price. Yes, he's carrying a lot more weight than last year, but that was just his 4th chase start last year. He's obviously being aimed at the Grand National, but Paul Nicholls will happily take this on the way. I'm just hoping he's a stone better horse this year, and I really think he could be. Yes, the horse is at the top of the market is £8 well in or whatever he is, but I think win and place on Truckers Lodge, you should be safe to get your place money, and he's a year better this year. So I like him. I'm hoping Lorcan Williams has a good weekend as well, and the race has got a decent record of claimers going on and winning it. So too for the 245 at Wincanton, which is the Pertemps qualifier. Again, Paul Nicholls has won it a couple of times in the last 10 years, both times with a conditional on top. I am siding with Southfield Harvest. We don't have prices, but I think the market will have it that Shang Tang is ahead of Southfield Harvest because of what happened last time. Southfield Harvest is a big old boy, and I know this isn't quite 3 miles, and he's won over 3 miles, but I had a horse running this race on Boxing Day a few years ago, and when it's heavy at Wincanton, it still takes a bit of getting, and I think Southfield Harvest will reverse that form under Lorcan Williams. Again, he certainly shouldn't be favourite, and I don't think he will be, and I think Shang Tang will be ahead of him in the betting, and I'd rather have it the other way around. So Southfield Harvest for me, and one more, because why not? It's Christmas. I'm going to go for Mr. One More in the Novices Handicap Chase for connections that have won this a few years ago in these colours. I thought he made a good reappearance behind Antunes last time. He has to be well treated off a mark of 136. The bounce factor may come into it, but he's been given long enough off the back of that run last time. He's 6.5, Mr. One More in the 115 at Kempton. So that completes my trio of good things. And I need to get back to form, let me tell you. That's the Christmas handicap bets. Right, best bets. Adele, you can have first choice on your best bet this Christmas.
I mean, it'd have to be Epatante, but she's too shortly priced. So I will stick with my best bet, and then I'm going to go Chacun pour soi.
So the best bet is it? So would you put those two together because you could double them up, or would you just?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Actually, probably would double them up. Actually, yeah. Good idea.
So the 2 good things for you towards the top of the betting for those, both similar prices actually. Chacun pour soi and Epatante to win their respective races. Don, your best bet.
Best bet at the prices, Absolute Heart in the Savills Chase.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, I just think stepping up to 3 miles now. Like he ironically, he won the 2 mile chase. He beat, as you mentioned earlier, Tommy, he beat Chacun pour soi in the 2 mile chase last year. He had race fitness on his side. Chacun pour soi was making his seasonal debut, and he only just got him inside the final, just on the run in. He was strong at the finish over 2 miles won. He raced over 2 miles the last day at Navan, and he was beaten by Castle Grace Paddy, who himself is a good horse of Pat Fahey's, but he just looked to be outpaced, and he's won the Close Brothers Chase over 2.5. He finished a close-up third in the Ryanair Chase over 2.5 at Cheltenham in March when he probably wasn't at his best. I think Rachel said afterwards that he might have been just a little bit flat. But the step up to 3 miles, I think it's look, he may not get it, but he may, and he races over 2.5 as if he will get further than 2.5. He's raced over 3 miles once before in the Grade 1 Novices Chase at the Punchestown Festival last year. And Delta Work beat him well, but that was going right-handed. His form is much better going left. He only runs left-handed these days, and it'll be his first time running left-handed over 3 miles. Look, it's a hell of a race, and his stable companion Manila Indo is the favourite and the right favourite, I think. So, but he's probably the right price, around 7 to 4, 2 to 1, and you've got Kemboy and Delta Work and Presenting Percy probably in there as well. But I just think Absolute Heart at about 9.0 or 10.0, that's a fair price.
And if Manello Indo wins, you can claim that because that was your horse to follow this year. So all bases covered, done. Jonesy, what about you? Your best bet?
I'm sticking with the mares because, as you highlighted, I know I love them so well. And Snow Leopardess and the Roller Merrick is my best bet.
Yeah, you're quite right. You love them really. Snow Leopardess for you, and I will go for Kescon Risk in the win and place market. Kescon Risk in the Future Champions Novice Hurdle for me. Kescon Risk. We got there, a longer one, but it's Christmas, so there you go. Adele, thank you very much. Have a lovely Christmas.
Christmas.
Don, thank you. Have a lovely
Tom.
St. Stephen's
Have a Christmas
Day and Christmas,
Yeah,
etc.
Stephen's Day as well. Yeah, good.
Got to get that right in the Racing TV studio, appealing to the masses. And Jonesy, thank you, bud. Have a good Christmas.
Thank you. Yeah, and everyone else.
Enjoy Tier 3. Thanks for everyone at home for
Tier 2
joining us. And we will see you again at some point before the new year. It's a busy time of racing. Enjoy your Christmas, and hopefully we found you some winners. Bye-bye.